It was supposed to be the beginning of a new chapter. Instead, it may be the end of one. The Cleveland Browns, once again on the verge of something great, are now engulfed in what might be their most public and volatile quarterback controversy in over a decade. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. First round pick flaming out. No, this time, it's about a fifth-round rookie, Shedeur Sanders, outplaying everyone around him and still being told to wait his turn. And now he's done waiting. After weeks of being sidelined despite outperforming both veterans and fellow rookies in training camp, Sanders officially snapped. Not in some emotional locker room outburst, but in the most professional, calculated, and damning way possible. He called out the Browns coaching staff by name and formally requested a trade. And in doing so, Shedeur Sanders didn't just shake the quarterback room. He sent shockwaves to the entire league. Let's rewind. For 3 days in camp, Sanders has quietly dismantled the Browns' depth chart in everything but title. Precision reads, elite-level poise, pinpoint accuracy in live reps. He made veteran arms look rusty and rookie project QBs look like they were still figuring out their playbooks. And the best part? He wasn't asking for headlines. He was asking for reps. And yet, they never came. Despite outperforming everyone around him, Sanders remained chained to the second and third teams. No first-team snaps. No 2-minute drill reps. No opportunity to build chemistry with the starting unit. Just whispers about developmental timelines and rookie patience. Except here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders doesn't need more development. He needs a chance. And after day 3's practice, where Sanders reportedly lit up the second-team defense with 3 touchdown drives, including a 45-yard bomb dropped perfectly in stride, he approached head coach Kevin Stefanski, not with emotion, not with arrogance, but with facts. And according to multiple sources close to the team, he said the quiet part out loud. This isn't about football. This is about politics. Then he dropped the bombshell. If this is how you run your team, trade me. Boom. It was a moment of raw honesty, but it wasn't just frustration. It was a statement, a challenge, a mirror held up to an organization that has repeatedly fumbled quarterback evaluations in the past. And now, in 2025, seems poised to do it again. What followed was chaos. An immediate closed-door meeting with Stefanski and the Browns GM. A tense phone call with ownership. Media outlets catching wind within hours. And a franchise suddenly forced to answer a very uncomfortable question. Are we sabotaging our most talented player? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Shedeur Sanders is the most talented quarterback on that roster. Anyone watching camp can see it. The mechanics are polished. The timing is NFL ready. The decision-making? Light years ahead of expectations. And yet, he's still being treated like a practice squad project because he wasn't drafted in the 3rd round or handed a multi-million-dollar veteran deal. And Shedeur sees it for exactly what it is, a rigged hierarchy based on contracts, not competition. Let's be real. This isn't just a Browns issue. It's an NFL-wide disease. Coaching staffs afraid to upset the pecking order, GMs protecting their own draft reputations, and development timelines used as excuses to keep the actual best players from threatening the ones already paid. But in Cleveland, that dysfunction has reached new heights. Because now, ownership and coaching aren't just misaligned, they're at war. Sources close to the team say Browns owner Jimmy Haslam is furious over the mishandling of Sanders. Haslam reportedly sees Shedeur as a generational leadership presence and the face of the franchise waiting to happen. But Stefanski? He's clinging to his playbook progression plan, terrified of throwing a rookie into the fire before he says it's time. That philosophical rift has created an impossible situation for GM Andrew Berry, who's caught in the middle of a front office civil war. Push for Sanders and risk undermining the coaching staff. Protect Stefanski and risk alienating the owner, the locker room. And now, the quarterback with all the leverage. Yes, leverage. Because Sanders may be a rookie, but he's no naive 21-year-old hoping for a handout. He's a brand, a businessman, a player with massive college pedigree, undeniable charisma, and, most critically, a wave of public support. Social media has already taken sides. Players are reposting his highlights. Fans are using terms like free Shedeur and play the kid. National outlets are questioning the Browns' logic. And across the league, front offices are circling like sharks. Because if Shedeur Sanders is available, half the league wants in. Franchises that missed out on quarterbacks in the draft. Teams with aging vets. Clubs with unstable locker rooms, looking for a leader to rally around. Sanders has that rare combo of talent, maturity, and marketability that makes him a walking PR win and a legit on-field asset. And the Browns? They're somehow letting it slip away because they're scared to admit the depth chart might be wrong. But let's talk about the locker room impact, because it's massive. Players notice things. They notice who shows up early, who stays late, who earns it. And from everything we're hearing, Shedeur Sanders earned it. He's the one calling receivers after hours. He's the one leading the scout team like it's the playoffs. He's the one breaking down coverages with defensive vets between reps. He's already the emotional center of that locker room, and yet he's still QB3 on paper. That disconnect, it's creating ripples. Players are confused. Some are frustrated, and others are quietly starting to question the plan. Because if he doesn't get promoted for outperforming everyone, then what does that mean for the rest of them? That's how trust erodes. And that erosion is exactly why the situation isn't just a rookie demands trade moment. It's a culture crisis. Because if the Browns allow performance to take a back seat to politics, again, they won't just lose Shedeur. They'll lose the locker room. They'll lose free agents. They'll lose the credibility they spent years clawing back from irrelevance. And for Stefanski, this could be the beginning of the end. Head coaches live and die by personnel decisions. If you back the wrong quarterback, you don't just risk a few games, you risk your job. And right now, Stefanski is on the wrong side of history. Because Shedeur's talent is undeniable. His leadership is magnetic. His play is forcing a new timeline. And if your system can't adapt to that, your system is broken. So, where do we go from here? Option 1, trade Shedeur. Let him go to a franchise that values him. Accept the PR disaster, the fan outrage, and the fact that you fumbled yet another quarterback talent out of sheer stubbornness. Option 2, promote him. Swallow your pride. Hand in the reins. Let the locker room know you're finally putting performance over politics. And maybe, just maybe, start winning games. Option 3, do nothing. Let the tension stew. Watch the season implode before it starts. Hope no one else demands a trade. Pray the fans stay patient. Spoiler alert, they won't. Because if they do let Shedeur Sanders walk, it won't be a quiet departure. It will be a statement. A declaration that no matter how talented you are, how hard you work, how clearly you outshine the guys ahead of you, if you weren't handpicked by the right people, you'll never get a fair shot. And that's not just a Browns problem. That's a culture problem. Let's be clear. This isn't some cocky rookie demanding stardom after one flashy practice. This is a player who's outperformed expectations at every level. First at Jackson State, then at Colorado, and now, most recently, in the NFL's own backyard, against professional defenses and in front of league scouts. This isn't a tantrum. It's a measured, strategic power move by someone who knows exactly what he brings to the table. You know who else made this kind of calculated demand early in his career? Players like Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. All quarterbacks who were undervalued early doubted, kept down on the depth chart for reasons that had nothing to do with performance. And what did they do? They waited just long enough, then took over. Not because someone handed them the job, because they made it impossible to ignore them. That's the playbook Shedeur's following. And right now, Cleveland's at risk of being the team that blinked first. Because let's not kid ourselves. If they trade him, someone will start him. Tomorrow, Atlanta, Washington, Tampa Bay, Vegas. Teams with uncertain quarterback futures and front offices hungry for a spark. They'll give Shedeur a shot not just because of what he brings on the field, but because of the momentum he already carries with him. And the Browns? They'll be stuck with a divided locker room, a fan base in open revolt, and a coaching staff that gambled on politics and lost big. That's what makes this story so explosive. It's not just about one player being benched unfairly. It's about what happens when an NFL franchise builds a culture around fear, not competition. When development plans become dogma. When the politics of draft status and coaching loyalty override the obvious reality on the field. Because anyone with eyes can see, Shedeur Sanders is ready. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, culturally. He's ready to lead. You want proof? Look at how he's handled this pressure. Has he lashed out on social media? No. Has he thrown teammates under the bus? No. Has he been sulking on the sidelines or leaking stories to press? Absolutely not. He's walked into work, taken his reps, stayed late, led quietly, executed loudly, and only after being stonewalled, only after proving himself in every measurable way, did he speak up. Not for attention, not for ego, but because he knows his value. And let's talk about that for a second, value. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback. He's a brand. His jersey's already one of the top-selling among rookies. His social reach is enormous. He draws media coverage without trying. Sponsors see him as a modern-day star. And that's not just about flash, it's about connection. Fans feel him. Teammates respect him. He's authentic in an era of over-curated personalities. But here's the thing. The Browns don't just have a potential QB1. They have a potential face of the franchise. And they're fumbling it. Why? Because the coaching staff doesn't like being told their developmental timeline is wrong. Because some assistant coach is still loyal to the QB they picked 3 rounds earlier. Because Stefanski is afraid of having to rewrite the game plan for someone who doesn't fit the mold. You know what else doesn't fit the mold? Winning in Cleveland. Because the last time this franchise had a truly stable, dynamic quarterback under center was when? Exactly. So now, when someone finally comes along who might actually be that guy, they're going to let politics get in the way? It's baffling. And while all this is happening, while Shedeur is quietly rising and the organization is loudly flailing, the rest of the NFL is watching. So are other players. And they're taking notes. If the Browns do this kid dirty, don't be surprised when free agents start looking elsewhere. When veterans start taking shorter deals to avoid the drama. When agents start steering their client away from a franchise that clearly does not prioritize fairness or on-field results. Because that's what the situation has become, a referendum on organizational identity. Do the Browns want to be the team that finally gets it right? That sees talent for what it is, regardless of where it was drafted or who vouched for it. Or do they want to be the team that sticks with a broken model out of pride? Because make no mistake, if they don't pivot in fast, they're going to lose more than a quarterback. They're going to lose trust. And without trust, no locker room survives. You can already feel it slipping. Veteran players reportedly confused. Younger guys asking questions. Even defensive captains quietly frustrated that one of the only guys actually delivering at camp is the one being silenced. And when that kind of doubt creeps in, it spreads. It infects preparation. It drains morale. It leads to finger-pointing, checked-out practices, and fourth-quarter collapses. All because someone at the top was too stubborn to admit they had a star sitting behind clipboard duty. But here's the thing about stars. They shine anyway, whether the Browns want to admit it or not. Shedeur Sanders is forcing their hand, and every moment they delay, every practice they waste pretending he's not ready, they're feeding a narrative they'll never be able to walk back. And if he's traded, he will remember. And so will the fans. And if he stays, you better believe he's going to use this moment as fuel. Every slight, every rep he didn't get, every excuse he was given. He'll remember it all when he finally gets a chance. And when he does, it won't just be a win for him. It'll be a loss for everyone who told him to wait. So Cleveland, this is your moment. You've got a quarterback with the talent to lead, the brain to adapt, the charisma to connect, and the backbone to speak up when it counts. You can either ride the wave and finally build something real, or you can keep playing politics and watch the future walk out the door. One thing certain, Shedeur Sanders knows his worth. Now the question is, do you? Let's not sugarcoat it. This is the moment where a franchise either evolves or collapses under its own weight. Because what Shedeur Sanders is exposing in Cleveland right now isn't just poor management. It's generational inertia. It's the same toxic decision-making loop that's kept the Browns trapped in a cycle of almost and maybes for decades. And while fans have grown used to disappointment, this is different. This time, the Browns actually have the talent. They have the guy. And somehow, they're still fumbling it. And that's why this entire saga has become so explosive. Because Shedeur's not just another rookie QB being told to wait his turn. He's a mirror held up to the Browns front office, coaching staff, and fan base. A mirror that reflects every bad call, every wasted year, and every time they bet on a system instead of betting on the right player. You can feel it in the fan base already. The disillusionment is boiling over. Social media is flooded with "Start Shedeur" posts. Local sports radio is no longer asking if he should play. It's asking why on earth he isn't already. It's not just a talent discussion anymore. It's an existential one. Because when a franchise repeatedly picks the wrong QB and finally stumbles onto someone special, and then refuses to acknowledge it, you're no longer dealing with incompetence. You're dealing with self-sabotage. And let's talk about the other side of this. The sheer composure Sanders has shown through all of it. The media's narrative would love to spin this as ego, as a rookie not knowing his place. But the receipts say otherwise. Since draft day, Sanders has done everything right. Showed up early, stayed late, gave smart interviews, praised his teammates, earned the locker room's respect. He didn't come in demanding the spotlight. He earned it with performance. So when he finally did speak up, when he finally called out the coach directly and said, "Trade me if this is how it's going to be," that wasn't drama. That was clarity. That was the sound of a player reaching his limit. Not emotionally, but professionally. And let's not forget, this isn't a normal rookie situation. Shedeur isn't some late-round flyer with raw talent and zero brand. This is a player with an empire behind him. A son of Deion Sanders, yes. But more than that, a self-made star in college, with the mental sharpness of a vet and the public poise of someone twice his age. This is a guy who could leave tomorrow and probably have a shoe deal, a documentary, and a QB1 spot in another city by the weekend. And if you don't think other NFL teams are salivating at the thought, you're dreaming. You can bet the phones are ringing. GMs from quarterback-needy teams are watching every Browns presser like hawks, waiting to see if Cleveland slips up and makes this kid truly available. And if they do, it's game over. Someone will offer draft picks. A few will probably offer immediate starts. And someone else will fix what the Browns broke. Because what's happening in Cleveland isn't just a misstep. It's a lesson in how not to handle a modern quarterback. The NFL has changed. Quarterbacks aren't just arms anymore. They're brands, leaders, connectors, culture setters. You don't develop these guys the same way you developed QBs in 2003. They need reps, yes, but they also need real belief. Authentic investment from the organization, not lip service, not shallow. We're evaluating everyone's statements while trotting out lesser players ahead of them. And that's the ultimate slap in the face right now. Shedeur Sanders is watching lesser talent get more opportunity. That's not development. That's politics. It's the same reason coaches get fired. It's the same reason players walk. It's the same reason locker rooms fracture. And let's zoom out even further, because this whole situation is part of a bigger conversation happening around the league. The rise of the modern rookie quarterback is real. These aren't guys coming in with wide eyes and empty resumes. These are guys with nil deals, national profiles, and personal brands before they ever take an NFL snap. They're built differently. And if a franchise isn't ready for that, they're going to get steamrolled by it. Shedeur is at the front of that wave. And instead of recognizing that, the Browns are trying to bury it under playbooks and development schedules. It won't work, because the more they hold him back, the more obvious the dysfunction becomes. Every missed first-team rep is a headline. Every second-string throw is another viral clip of Shedeur looking better than the guys ahead of him. Every quiet post-practice presser where Stefanski dodges a question about the quarterback room only fuels a fire. And it's not just fans paying attention, it's the players. We've already heard the whispers. Teammates privately frustrated. Veteran defenders asking why the kid isn't getting more run. receivers openly lobbying to get reps with him in drills. That kind of momentum doesn't go away. It builds. And when it does, it turns from a personnel issue into a leadership crisis. Because if the locker room decides Shedeur is the guy, but the staff refuses to make that leap, that disconnect destroys seasons. So let's look ahead. The Browns have a choice to make. They can start Sanders, admit he's earned it, take the PR win, rally the team, let him lead, risk some growing pains, but finally align the locker room and front office. Trade Sanders. Cut your losses. Let another team unlock his potential. Brace for the fan base backlash and endless you let him go. Covers the rest of the season. Do nothing. Keep pretending the depth chart makes sense. Let the controversy fester. Let the locker room fragment. And watch a promising season disintegrate from the inside. There is no option for, no reset button, no magical return to order once trust is gone. Once a player asks out, that's not a light switch. It's a fire alarm. And once the rest of the league sees that Cleveland couldn't hold on to a potential franchise QB again, good luck signing the next one. And Shedeur? He'll be fine. Wherever he lands, he'll ball. He'll get reps. He'll win over that locker room in 2 weeks. He'll do what he's done since day one. Perform. He doesn't need to win the press conference. He wins on the field. And that's why this situation is so maddening. Because anyone paying attention knows he's already won the job. The Browns just haven't admitted it yet. But they will. Maybe it'll be after another mediocre performance from their preferred guy. Maybe it'll be after a midseason collapse. Maybe it'll be after they trade Shedeur and watch him light it up somewhere else. Or maybe, if they're smart, it'll be tomorrow. But the clock is ticking. And Shedeur Sanders isn't waiting anymore.